And away we go. Well, I made a comment on Monday to somebody who said Marianne Williamson was running for president, and I came off the cuff because I didn't remember apparently exactly who Marianne Williamson was. What's up, Goth? What's up, buddy? Just so you guys know, tonight I have reduced the latency. We are talking as close to real time as possible. If the stream starts to slow down really bad, let me know, because that means my connection is not as great as I hoped it was. But yeah, I made a off the cuff comment about Marianne Williamson being kooky, which I don't know that I was exactly wrong, but I did misidentify her. I was thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of somebody that worked for Trump, and Marianne Williamson, it turns out, did not work for Donald Trump. So let's hop into the live stream here. Let's get our spot up here. Window capture. Where we at? Here we are. So we're gonna let Marianne Williamson first of all tell us who she is, and we're gonna stop misinforming my viewers with misinformation like this. She worked for Trump. I'm so sorry, Marianne Williamson. And we're going to get to who I actually thought she was at one point. That would be a woman named Paula White. And Paula White is definitely kooky. And we will watch some really fun videos about Paula White at the once we get past who Marianne Williamson is and what she represents as far as her political views go. Because I am here to do my research and determine whether or not Marianne Williamson is somebody I would vote for president for. And, I think that just like a glance at some of the stuff that she's talked about and done, I don't think that it's that far-fetched that I would vote for her. I think that looks like she has some pretty good views that I would agree with. But let Marianne Williamson tell us what she thinks she's all about. Oh, yeah, Paula White, my friend. We are going to watch some Paula White videos, and God, that's going to be so much fun. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. All right. Here's Marianne Williamson. This is from Marianne Williamson's YouTube page, and this is she announced this when she said she was running for president. So we're going to give her a shot here.
I'm Marianne Williamson, and when I was growing up, America had a vibrant middle class. The average American worker had decent benefits, could afford a home, could afford a car, could afford a yearly vacation, could afford for one member of the couple to stay home if they wished, and could afford to send their kids to college. But over the last 50 years, there's been a massive transfer of wealth to the tune of $50 trillion from the bottom 90% of Americans to the top 1%, decimating America's middle class. We all owe President Biden a debt of gratitude for defeating President Trump in 2020. But with the things that they're going to be throwing at us in 2024, we need to submit to the American people an agenda of fundamental economic reform, universal health care, tuition-free colleges at state colleges and universities, higher education including tech schools, paternity and maternity leave, free child care, and a guaranteed living wage. These are things that are considered moderate positions in every other advanced democracy. But in the United States, people have been trained to expect too little. The American people have been played. What the Democratic Party should do is to truly return to the principles of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Not just alleviate people's suffering, but offer them genuine economic reform. Not just help people survive in an unjust system. The Democratic Party should end an unjust system. Washington, D.C., with a few brave exceptions, is filled with two major categories of leaders. Those who don't even care about all the suffering that's going on out there, and those who do not have the moral courage to fix it. Let me in there. I will.
All right.
I'm Marianne Williamson, and I approve this message.
So all of those things sound great. I disagree with her on the last part. She said that there are two types of people. I think there's actually another type of person, and that's the Boberts and MTGs of the world that actually want the government to stay broken so that way they can keep their jobs. Hi, Renee. Hi, Mama. Hi, guys. You're not late. We just started. I'm always late. I like everything she said. I think that was actually a really well put together video too. Some of these videos that people put out nowadays are mildly, I don't know, low quality. Like they didn't really try that hard. But that was a pretty good quality video. I like what she had to say. Obviously, most of her running points are things that have been talked about a lot. I would like to see somebody actually follow through on any of those talking points, if I'm being honest. That's my problem, is that I have very little faith in anybody in politics nowadays actually following through with the things that they say. So if she is capable of bringing together the two sides, and I mean the ones that are closer to the middle, not the far reaches, because that's almost impossible. And I think that those fringe exist to create chaos within our political system, whether or not they know it or not. I think that that's what they are doing and what their motives bring about. If she's capable of doing that, I would love to see that. Let's see. Let's get in a little bit more about her. I don't want to do too many of the videos, so I want to go actually straight to her wiki page, because she had some pretty interesting stuff that was on here. Now, like I said, I thought she was a little bit of woo-woo. I thought she was a little bit kooky, and she's got a little bit of something, like I said, but not nearly as bad as I had envisioned it when I thought she was, of course, Paula White, which, oh my God, that woman is insane. So, American writer, politician, and candidate for the 2024 United States presidential election. She unsuccessfully ran as an independent for California's 33rd congressional district in the United States House of Representatives. This goes to show you how like crazy it is in some states where they'll vote for Boebert or they'll vote for MTG, but here in California, if you're an independent, no one's gonna vote for you. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if Marianne Williamson were to be in our Senate versus Boebert or MTG, I'd 1,000% take her in there. Let's see. First announced her presidential candidacy on January 9, 2019, and then she suspended it shortly thereafter and supported Bernie Sanders. I like that. I once again, I like Bernie. I think a lot of what Bernie believes is on the right path. I just sometimes grow concerned with how we're going to carry out some of the plans that he has. But once again, you don't know until the man gets a chance. Let's take a look at some other stuff here. Born in Houston, Texas, to a World War II veteran. I think that's amazing. That's pretty effing cool, if you ask me. I mean, when you look at some of these other politicians and who their father was, I don't think very many of them can say that their father was a World War II veteran. That's pretty fucking cool. She was raised in an upper middle class family that practiced conservative Judaism, and that's for as much as I disagree with religion as an institution, I do encourage spirituality, and I do like people that are spiritual. And I think that Judaism oftentimes is open to ridicule, depending on whether or not, obviously, you're Orthodox or not. But conservative Judaism is open to criticism and openly criticizes their own religion and talks about it and debates it. And if there was ever a religion that I could get behind, it would be one that was self-analytic. So something like conservative Judaism doesn't concern me quite as much as, say, her opponent, or not her opponent, but the person I accidentally misidentified her as, Paula White, who is an evangelical who believes that money is God's blessing. Therefore, she has been blessed by God, and all you poor people can just go screw yourself because God doesn't love you. That is exactly the opposite. So once again, Miss Williamson, very sorry for misidentifying you. Learned about world religions and social justice at home. Became interested in public advocacy when she saw her rabbi speak against the Vietnam War. The more I read about this, the more I kind of look at it and go, what makes people so mad about this? And we'll get into that in a minute, and we'll talk about why Democrats tend to lowbrow insult people like Marianne Williamson, and why the Democratic Party as a whole has kind of gotten themselves into a place where people much like when Hillary Clinton called independents deplorable if they were to vote for Donald Trump or even thought about it, why that kind of top-down look that Democrats have of people that they don't feel they have to respect, like Marianne Williamson, why that's a problem in the left, in the Democratic Party. Williamson attended Houston's ISD Bel Air High School. That sounds like a really nice high school. I bet she had a very nice time there. Studied philosophy. She actually ended up being Laura Dern's roommate at one point. I didn't know that. Let's see. She had one part here where she got into A Course in Miracles, which in my opinion is kind of a strange book to get into, considering that it's at least, I don't know if it's been verified, but it's talked about that the woman who wrote it may have said that Jesus actually dictated it to her. I have a problem with that. In today's society, we allow religious people to get away with saying they hear voices, and we're just like, yeah, that's cool. It's because they're religious. If anybody else says that they hear voices, they immediately get sent to a psychologist. Williamson said the book was her path out of hell, as she had been mired in a series of unhappy love affairs, alcohol and drug abuse, a nervous breakdown, and endless sessions with therapists. First of all, good job seeking help, Marianne, because so many people in MAGA do not seek help, and we see what happens when they don't. As far as alcohol and drug abuse, love affairs, sounds like she's a human being. It's actually probably good to get that out of the way and, move on with your life and attempt to become a better human being. Let's see. Of course, has often been described as religion or pseudo-religion. Williamson disagrees, describing it as spiritual psychotherapy. And that's where I get a little bit weird. Like, to each their own, I guess is what I would say there. I like this. In 1979, Williamson returned to Houston, where she ran a metaphysical bookstore coffee shop. And she sang Gershwin's standards in a nightclub, got married and divorced almost immediately, and underwent a spiritual surrender. So, a lot of what she did sounds like she was trying to find herself, and I don't see that there's much wrong with a person, going through life and actually growing. Let's see. True. Religion should be criticized. Yeah, everything should be criticized. Everything should be talked about and debated. I greatly enjoy watching Matt Dillahunty debate Jordan Peterson. I have different views from Jordan Peterson, but I don't mind hearing what he has to say about religion. I like watching Sam Harris. I like watching Matt Dillahunty. I watch a lot of videos of, I'm not an atheist. I'd refer to myself as a secular humanist. I don't believe that human beings need religion to find morals. I believe morals were actually established long ago before religion was a thing. But that's due to my belief in the social leap, which is written about by William von Hippel, which is that the brain doubled in size not due to opposable thumbs, but due to social situations. I've got a lot of a different outlook on that, but I don't mind hearing about religion, and I also have a belief in a creator, so I don't at all. I don't disagree with people that are spiritual. I disagree with people that believe God said things like, love your master as a slave, whether he be fair or, he beats you to half to death. So that's where I get a little bit weird, and it's mostly due to the written word of human beings, and how they interpret, much like I just said about that other book when someone says that Jesus interpreted a book for them. I get a little bit weird. Agnostic. I would say I'm mildly agnostic. Like I said, I phase in and out of agnostic. It all depends on, who I'm talking to at the time and whether or not they can convince me that there's a creator. Let's see, what else do we got here? She was a pastor for a while, obviously an author with 7 books that have been on the New York Times bestseller list, 4 reaching number 1. That's pretty amazing. Knows Oprah Winfrey. Centers for Living. In 1987, inspired by a friend's struggle with breast cancer, Williamson launched the Center for Living after a $50,000 donation from David Geffen. David Geffen, I could also use a $50,000 donation. It's probably not going to be for anything good. Most likely, I'm going to use it to go on vacation somewhere nice, but I could use a donation. Let's see. The center primarily began assisting people afflicted with the rapidly spreading and then unknown epidemic of HIV/AIDS, particularly in gay men, who were openly welcomed when shunned and refused help by other organizations. Once again, you hear these things. I don't see the bad in much of this. I think that this is all good stuff, and it should be encouraged, actually. After two of Williamson's board members told Vanity Fair that she wanted to be famous, Williamson felt that she was being treated as expendable. It sounds like she had some problems, maybe within the structure. Some people don't do well in structures. Some people are not great at working with others. Let's see. She did a lot of AIDS work, Peace Alliance. It just looks like she did a lot of stuff that actually you would hope that your politicians would be focused on and involved in. So I have zero problem with any of that. Her political career, as we established, she ran for California's 33rd Congressional District. That didn't work out. She tried to run as an independent. Got to question whether or not she was really trying for it if she was running as independent, as no one likes us. Let's see. Prominent elected and public officials endorsed her campaign, including Ben Cohen, Jennifer Granholm, and Jesse Ventura. So when Jesse Ventura gets behind you, I think that probably adds a little bit to your kookiness, because Jesse is a character, and he may or may not have said a couple things in his time that may question people question his sanity, which may make you look bad if he supports you. Wow, Alanis Morissette wrote and performed her campaign song. All right, that's not bad. Let's see. Williamson campaigned on progressive issues such as campaign finance reform, women's reproductive rights, and LGBTQ equality. Once again, it all sounds good. Nothing bad there. Let's get down to here where she had some stuff. She supports the Individuals with Disability Education Act. I'm 100% for that, along with initiatives to guarantee voting rights and accessible polling to those with disabilities. I don't know who the hell would be against that. I mean, on occasion, I hear about somebody voting against stuff like that because of add-ons and such, amendments. I just, I don't see how you can vote against helping Americans get out and vote. And if you are, I'm not voting for you. She also supported the Disability Integration Act, requiring healthcare insurers to cover home healthcare. I don't see why any of that's bad. Supports transition programs that move institutionalized people with disabilities to supported independent living. Okay. She also supports reforming Social Security insurance to ensure that people with disabilities are not excluded from entitlement programs if they earn more than $1,220 a month. In addition, she supports including disability policy, including disabled human rights and U.S. trade deals. As far as that goes, if you only make $1,200 a month, I'd imagine you do need some type of assistance. And if you're disabled and unable to make more than $1,200 a month, if you're disabled and you make $1,200 a month, I'm pretty excited. Okay, so I don't see why we would encourage people not to work if they have the ability to, and if somebody is disabled and they can make $1,200 working, then I don't see why you would ever give them a negative to keep them out of the workforce by taking away their disability insurance. That's just giving them a reason not to work. I mean, that's incredibly stupid to me. Williams supports sex education in the disabled community. Yeah. Sensitivity training for police in regard to interacting with those disabilities. 1,000,000%. When it comes to autism, I have seen too many videos of police officers that were completely untrained in how to deal with people with mental illness and autism. And let me make sure that I partition those two off. Autism is not a mental illness. But I've seen too many times where an autistic person has been assaulted by a police officer because the police officer didn't understand how to deal with an autistic child. Yes, sir. I'm on the internet for the rest of the week. Thanks, Goth. Thanks, Goth. I appreciate that, especially after my time in prison. I was wrongfully accused And vindicated. I mean, for now, I feel like I'm on parole right now, and like at any moment, my PO could show up and piss test me. That's how I feel right now. Uh, like at any time, YouTube's gonna hop on and be like, "So we saw some stuff you said. We'd like to talk about it." Education. Williamson supports free tuition at public colleges, community colleges, and trade schools. That is so important. Trade schools. We need more people in trades. She also supports a reduction in college loan debt and total forgiveness of college loan debt in some cases. I like that. She has expressed her support for treating student loans like other debt, such that debtors could refinance at lower interest rates and those who declare bankruptcy could have their debt forgiven. Once again, I don't see why we're incentivizing these institutions in education to take advantage of the very people that we are incorporating into the productivity of our society. Like, why do we side with these gigantic institutions? Hi, Ricky. I don't get that. I don't understand why we aren't more for our own people. In fact, and for the constituents. In fact, I know why that certain politicians aren't, and that's because they're being paid a lot of money to not be. I just don't understand why we wouldn't be for helping make more productive citizens in our society. I work managing people, and I can tell you this: if I could have better educated employees walking through the door, and I love my employees, and I'm the person who interviews and hires them, so I have a great staff. But if they were able to come through my door with either more experience through trade schools or through my door with more education because they chose to do an extra 2 years of college because it was they were able to afford to do so, I would be amazingly surprised and happy, and I would be forever in the debt of the society that helped make it happen, because we should all want better educated employees, and we should all want better educated civilians, citizens. Williams supports paid leave for pay equity. This is a concept of labor rights. Individuals in the same workplace are be given equal pay. Yeah, I mean, equity and equality are funny words. I support pay equality. I don't think anybody should be paid less dependent on anything other than their ability to do the job. That should be easy enough. If you're female, if you're black, you're Mexican, you're Asian, whatever, it doesn't matter. You should be paid the correct amount. That shouldn't even be a question. Nepotism also a problem in those areas. Government support for child care services. Parents need help. 100%. And once again, we should be encouraging parents to be able to go to work. That's a no-brainer to me. Union rights and universal basic income. Union rights are a weird one, but I do support union rights. I think there's more good than bad from unions, in my personal opinion. That's a whole nother set of things. As far as universal basic income goes, we're going to be talking about universal basic income at one point or another, because with the advent of artificial intelligence, there is going to be more time for people. So we are going to either need to restructure the way that we use fiat and the way that we, value our services, or we're going to have to talk about social safety nets for people that are going to be losing their jobs due to artificial intelligence. I just saw the other day a article about a woman who owned a cafe and this is just a small cafe. This is not a corporation. This isn't McDonald's. And she purchased 3 robots, and they wheel out her orders to her tables. And that's what's going to start happening. I don't know if you've seen these McDonald's that are fully self-service. First of all, they mess a lot of shit up, so there's still a lot of bugs, but they do exist. Like, your food drops from a conveyor belt at the drive-thru, and that's going to be a strange time. It's going to be a strange time. So it has to at least be talked about. When people get so mad that they shut down conversations on these things, it's absolutely ridiculous. You don't just shut down the conversation because you disagree with it. It's worth talking about. Supports portable retirement plans. Ocean also supports creation of a Department of Children and Youth, a new cabinet-level agency to create programs to reduce infant mortality, illness, food insecurity, homeless, and undereducation. Once again, I don't have a problem talking about that. I'd rather see a portion of our government budget being put into something like that than the constant fueling of a military budget that never stops going up. And so everybody knows, my entire family is military. So I support the military, but I don't support continuing to increase debt and put other portions of our country at a negative while we do it. Williamson supports corporations having a responsibility to stakeholders, not just stockholders. Yeah, for sure. Guns. Let's go to guns. Williamson supports gun control and has described the issue as one personal to her. On November 4th, 2018, she gave a keynote address to several hundred Muslim and Jewish women at the Sisterhood of something I probably can't pronounce conference in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, 8 days after 11 Jews were murdered at Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue. A Jewish woman, she argued against fear being used as a political force and advocated for love in its place. And we're going to get to that here in a minute. Williams supports eliminating the sale of assault rifles and semi-automatic weapons, banning bump stocks and high-capacity magazines, and eliminating the current limits on the Center for Disease Control's ability to track and record gun ownership numbers. She also supports mandatory universal background checks and waiting periods for all gun dealers, including at gun shows and sporting retailers, child safety locks on all guns, and restrictions on the ability of the mentally ill to buy guns. Williams also supports red flag laws and making the process of obtaining gun licenses similar to that of obtaining a driver's license. I agree with all of that for the most part. Once again, it's a question of nuance, right? I think the main argument on the other side for red flag laws is that they're afraid that it's a slippery slope. I would argue that most of the people that are afraid of the slippery slope are people that live on the edge of the slippery slope. They're constantly concerned about if one right goes away, they're all going away. And I don't know that our system is set up in a way that that is actually what would happen. And I would disagree with it in a much longer conversation in a more nuanced way. What I would say is I support legal, responsible gun control that comes with accountability. And I think accountability is something that is completely missing from our current society when it comes to gun control. I think that everyone should have to go through a background check to obtain a gun legally. And I do agree that somebody that has been flagged with a mental illness should have to undergo a definite process. I'm borderline saying they don't get a gun. That's my personal opinion, and that's what I would vote towards. Cut military spending and crack down on the rich. Yeah, Ricky, I think that where we're at now, we just encourage more spending. We just encourage the rich to get richer. And it's absolutely insane that our mentality is to support and almost defend these huge corporations and rich people, whether they be on the left or the right, to keep us where we're at. I think that that's insane. I think that it all goes back to my childhood of growing up in a trailer park where I used to hear people say things like, you think you're smarter than him? You think you're smarter than him? How much money do you have? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Intelligence has very little to do with money, and money has very little to do with intelligence. Healthcare, that's another big one. Williamson supports universal health care and a Medicare for all type of plan. She has also stated that she supports extending health coverage, including coverage for home care to currently uninsured Americans. That she says is a disease management system that the U.S. currently has, inclusive of that. Yeah, I agree with that. Money is intelligent as fuck. You like money? I like money. We should hang out. Dude, idiocracy is a prophecy, okay? As far as healthcare goes, what I would say about healthcare that I vote on is I do not oppose the Affordable Care Act. I believe, coming from where I come from, that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for social safety nets. And so I guess anecdotally for me, I would say that I not only approve of the Affordable Care Act, but being a middle-class person that is probably, the middle class probably takes it the hardest from the Affordable Care Act, I still support it. I do not mind paying some of my tax money to help support social safety nets for people that do not have the means to support themselves and keep themselves healthy. I support it. I'm willing to give some of my hard-earned money to make sure that poor people are able to go to the doctor. Specifically, parents of poor children are capable to take their children to a doctor and make sure that they are healthy individuals throughout their entire life. I just, once again, don't see why this is something that we argue about. I think it's absolute insanity. Williams expressed that she also supports treating drug addiction as a mental health issue and decriminalizing drugs. I actually think that decriminalizing the majority of drugs would probably end. I mean, I believe there's statistics to show this, but once again, it's a longer conversation with a lot more examples. The decriminalizing drugs would actually would show a decrease in overdoses, drug use. I mean, like I said, that's a much longer conversation. I don't want to get into that right now. We could be here for a long time just talking about that one thing. Williamson supports a full path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants with no serious criminal background. She also supports reducing the cost of naturalization and increasing resources to help immigrants navigate the process with more ease. At this point, I'm down to immigration. I don't think there's a single thing that I hard disagree with Marianne Williamson on. I think that there's nuance to every one of these topics, and they should be debated, and we need to maybe have longer conversations about each one of these topics. But what she says there about undocumented immigrants is we live in a society right now where people are super concerned about depopulation. Well, not everybody is, but people in certain areas are concerned about depopulation. Some people believe that China's total population is going to collapse within 10 years because of their one-child policy. We should be supporting people coming to America. That's just good sense. If we have a problem right now with Social Security where not enough people are contributing to Social Security because, we have a much older group of people on the top end, we're top heavy, then we should be encouraging every young immigrant to come to America. I mean, we should be recruiting young immigrants to come to America. So, I'm all for making sure that we have a border that is secure in the way of keeping illegal drugs and criminals out of our country. But I am 100% in support of making sure that every person that could be beneficial to our society gets a chance to come to America. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If somebody takes my job, then I wasn't working hard enough. All right. I just don't understand. Well, I do understand. Like I said, these people live on the precipice of a slippery slope. They are just waiting for the first bad thing to happen so they can look at everybody and say, look, it's going to happen. All of our freedoms are going away. I don't think that's going to happen. I would argue against it. Williams supports the Equality Act. She also supports equality in healthcare, housing, employment, and services. She has also expressed support in protecting the LGBTQ community from marginalization due to census questionnaire, which I understand that's like they want to be represented. Don't we all? We all want to be represented. I don't understand why it's an argument. I believe we can debate certain portions of the Equality Act. I once again believe equality is important. I think equity can be challenged in certain areas, but equality should never be challenged. At no point in my life have I ever been in support of holding someone down due to them being different than me. That's stupid. Williamson supports an increase of the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour. I support minimum wage increases that are done in an intelligent way that helps to mitigate inflation. That's a tough one. I think that what we have now is a bit of a system that has some really negative consequences when we do increase minimum wage period. Living in California, I can tell you a little bit about that. Being a part of a business, I can tell you a little bit about that. I would just like us to get away from this idea that human beings don't, necessarily deserve the right to live a good life unless, you have like an insane skill. My wife has said it before. I was talking about Andrew Tate, and I said the funny thing about Andrew Tate is that on occasion he says something smart. Most of the time he says a lot of really dumb shit that actually drives me nuts. But every once in a while he says something smart. She said, like what? And I said, well, he said something about, everybody should want to be the best they can be, so they should work really hard to not be the bottom of the barrel, because you don't want to be on the bottom of the barrel. And she said, well, but then nobody does those jobs. So then nobody does those jobs. Okay. So then if nobody's doing those jobs, then you're looking at a higher demand for those jobs. Then people are going to get paid more for that, right? Like, so thinking that somebody that is working at McDonald's is less than you and deserves to make less than you is kind of faulty, because really we depend on those people. We depend on the person at the cash register that's ringing us up. We all learned over COVID during the pandemic that apparently a lot of people that people weren't taking seriously were absolutely essential to the day-to-day life of everyday Americans. Like, and let's see how long that memory lasts, because I'm sure people will have a very short-term memory with that. But, the idea that there should be anybody out there working and not able to support their family because they think that they have a lesser skill set, it just seems faulty and should be debated at least. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I don't know that I support her or not on that one. Let's see. Let's not spend. I'll talk about one more thing here, because I do like this one. Black American reparations. So I don't support Black American reparations. I support reparations. I support funding the poverty stricken part of our country, and unfortunately a large amount of the poverty stricken happen to be Black Americans, and that is unacceptable. In many ways are Black Americans being failed across the board, and we don't need to get into what was happening 250 years ago. We all know what was going on 250 years ago. And that is a stain upon American history, regardless of whether or not other people were doing it throughout the world, regardless of whether or not white people and Asians were slaves in other places. What I would say is that I would like to see poverty-stricken communities lifted up, because a rising tide raises all boats. I'm going to change a little bit of something here on the stream real quick. Bear with me. As I'm seeing some latency problems. There we go. All right. You guys tell me if there's any issues, okay? All right. So let's get away from this. What I would say is I agree with 97% of everything she's saying here. I liked her video that she had posted there. I thought that spoke really well, but unfortunately, a ton of what we see on the internet is incredibly well edited, and everybody is pretty good when, given the right amount of time to prepare for something. I did look up conservative Judaism. Had to make sure I knew what I was talking about, especially after misidentifying Miss Marianne Williamson. Let's get into a little bit of, this is Marianne Williamson's best moments from the 2020 Democratic debates. This is from The Guardian. It's an edited video. Some of the things obviously will be taken out of context. Redlining caused a lot of that, and it wasn't that long ago. Yep. You are correct. All right, let's take a look at this video.
Flint is just the tip of the iceberg. We have an administration that has gutted the Clean Water Act. We have communities, particularly communities of color and disadvantaged communities all over this country, who are suffering from environmental injustice. If you think any of this wonkiness is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country, then I'm afraid that the Democrats are going to see some very dark days. We need to say it like it is. It's bigger than Flint. It's all over this country. It's particularly people of color. It's particularly people who do not have the money to fight back. And if the Democrats don't start saying it, then why would those people feel that they're there for us? And if those people don't feel it, they won't vote for us, and Donald Trump will win.
That is amazing. I spent earlier today watching videos. I wish I could remember the guy's name right now. I'm sure everybody knows who he is. He's the guy that went to Gary, Indiana, and Gary, Indiana has the highest murder rate in the country, or second highest murder rate in the country. By population. Chicago obviously is the largest city with the highest rate, or New Orleans actually is. But he went to Gary, Indiana, and then I kind of went down the rabbit hole and watched a bunch of these other videos. He went to Florida, he went to Arkansas, he went to Alabama. And her point on that many populations of color are, it's disproportionate, the amount of these types of issues, like environmental issues, occur in these areas. And his videos were, every one of them, you're just driving past just abandoned home after abandoned home after abandoned home, super high crime rates, super low yearly income per family and per individual, super high poverty rates, up to 60%, 67% for children. And guess what? Most of these communities were somewhere in the area of 78% black. And when you start to realize that through the middle of the country, there are tons of these small cities or small towns that are 78, 80% black, and there's no jobs, there's nothing but drugs. It's like, these people can't escape these communities. I'm lucky to have escaped my community. I am lucky to be here today. And a big part of that was due to systems in California that were available to me to get me out of that. And I'll say it right here, right now, part of it was that I was a white male. People don't like when you say that, but I went to get jobs, and I got jobs that I know that some of the black men that I grew up with didn't have a chance at. And you have to admit that to understand that there's a problem. And it's ridiculous. So I like that she said that. I really like that she said, specifically that this is a problem for communities of color.
Of your opponents support a commission to study the issue of reparations for slavery, but you are calling for up to $500 billion in financial assistance. What makes you qualified to determine how much is owed in reparations?
Well, first of all, it's not $500 billion in financial assistance. It's $500 billion, $200 to $500 billion, payment of a debt that is owed. That is what reparations is. I'll tell you what makes me qualified. If you did the math of the 40 acres and a mule, given that there was 4 to 5 million slaves at the end of the Civil War, there were 4 to 5, and they were all promised 40 acres and a mule for every family of 4. If you did the math today, it would be trillions of dollars. And I believe that anything less than $100 billion is an insult. And I believe that 200 to 500 billion is politically feasible today, because so many Americans realize there is an injustice that continues to form a toxicity underneath the surface, an emotional turbulence that only reparations.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Okay, so we're going to get into what happened with the Democrats during this debate here in a moment, because this just gets worse and worse, right? She is obviously very well researched into what she's saying. She's well-spoken, and she is debatably not wrong. If any one of us were promised something in our history, if any one of us had family members that were told that they would receive something and they didn't receive it, we would be fighting tooth and nail. We would be lawyering up to make sure that the person that told our ancestor that they deserve something, that we got it. And if you're telling me right now that the establishment, the rich white men that are currently our politicians, wouldn't have gotten a lawyer and went that route, I'm ready to debate that one. You telling me Chuck Grassley wouldn't get on the phone with his lawyer and make sure that whoever said he was going to give his grandpa something made sure that money got to him? Bullshit. Lindsey Graham would get right on there and just start crying because that's what Lindsey Graham does. So we're going to get to where Democrats kind of went down the path to why Marianne Williamson was in some way, I don't know, I wouldn't say dehumanized, but degraded. And why I thought she was kooky, part of it. Because this is what our media does nowadays. And this is how they treat people that they don't either think you have a chance to win or they just don't really care to understand. So let's take a look. Moderators didn't get around to Marianne Williamson until about 30 minutes into Thursday's Democratic debate, but they quickly learned that anytime they called on the self-help author, she'd take the conversation in new and exciting directions. Throughout the evening, Williamson continued to serve up the sort of bizarre, love-infused asides that one yearns for when trying to decide who should lead the nation. The snark, just to start this off. The snark, okay? First of all, your fucking newspaper is called The Intelligencer, okay? That red line underneath it is spell check telling you that you need to fix that. Let's see. Make America use slogans again. So this is actually something I just talked about. So let's watch this real quick.
I'll tell you one thing. It's really nice if we got all these plans, but if you think we're going to beat Donald Trump by just having all these plans, you got another thing coming. Because he didn't win by saying you had a plan. He won by simply saying, make America great again. We've got to get deeper than just these superficial fixes, as important as they are. Even if we're just talking about the superficial fixes, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a health care system in the United States. We have a sickness care system in the United States.
So what she's saying there, and what these guys go into here, is the solution? More slogans. Yeah, see, the thing is as Democrats, we tend to look down upon anything that we think that's stupid. That's not highbrow. We don't need to go down to his level. Well, that's what they thought in 2016. In fact, Hillary Clinton stood up in front of everybody and told them, if you're stupid enough to vote for Donald Trump, then you're an idiot and you're deplorable. And that lost her that election. I guarantee that, because as an independent, I sat there listening to Hillary well over on her side because I didn't want to see Donald Trump become president. I was offended. And I thought, well, hold on a second. You don't get to tell me who I'm smart for voting for. I get to research it. I get to figure out who I believe is the best presidential candidate. And if you get to stand up there and just tell me I'm an idiot and you don't want my vote, then you don't respect me. And I don't like that. So what she's trying to say here is she's saying Donald Trump used a tactic that was successful to gain him the presidency of the United States. That is not a small feat. And when you're Donald Trump, who should have never won it in the first place, that is an incredible feat. So for them to kind of like demean her over that just shows that, once again, their thought process is in the wrong place. You got to listen. You got to hear the words coming out of her mouth and actually like not be shitting on her before she even finishes her sentence. What really ails the nation? Blaming America's high rates of chronic illness on the country's for-profit healthcare system. Any Democrat can do that. Williamson took a broader view pointing to the nation's chemical policies, food policies, and environmental decay. We don't have a healthcare system in the United States. We have a sickness care system in the United States, is what she just said. And here's the thing. What did you say? She's a strong-willed, independent woman who wants to spend money. Love her, but she's got no chance. We'll spend on, yeah, and that's sad, and that's why I want to be on here, and that's why I want to talk. Because, God damn it, man, people gotta talk. We gotta stop letting this shit happen, and we gotta do it in my lifetime because I want to see it. Absent in her survey of healthcare was a reiteration of a recent comment calling vaccines draconian. We're going to get to that too. Once again, this is how our media tends to take things out of context. So as far as what she said about the healthcare system, let's see if she goes on here.
What we need to talk about is why so many Americans have unnecessary chronic illnesses, so many more compared to other countries. And that not just the big pharma, not just health insurance companies. It has to do with chemical policies. It has to do with environmental policies. It has to do with food policies. It has to do with drug policies.
Thank you.
So, regardless of whether or not she's 100% correct on what the actual causes are, once again, those are all debatable topics. I saw Bernie Sanders down there looking at her like, finally, somebody. He's probably actually a little mad. He's like, don't take my shtick. But it's not, you don't have to shut it down. All these conversations are nuanced. Is a for-profit healthcare system bad? Yes. Is a for-profit prison system bad? Yes. Those are the two things that I think should never be for-profit. It should never be a healthcare system that's for-profit. There should never be a prison system that's for-profit. It goes against the very logic of either one of those industries. As far as her vaccine comments, what she had said was something along the lines of that she didn't agree with vaccine mandates. Now, I don't remember if this was during the COVID vaccine mandate talk or if it was just during, childhood vaccine mandates. I disagree if she's talking about children being vaccinated, as many diseases like measles and polio have been, for the most part, eradicated with the herd immunity gained from vaccines in children. I 100% stand by my children being vaccinated. I don't know whether or not I agree with mandatory vaccines. That's, once again, a much longer conversation. But I did not agree with mandatory vaccinations during COVID. And that's because there wasn't a dearth of information that allowed me to say that it was completely necessary to ask for that. And I don't want to ever put myself in a place where I think that I have to tell other people what to do with their lives without having the full information of what I'm talking about. So I think that she tried to retract that and say the exact same thing. And that got her in trouble with apparently this intelligencer. Let's see. Pivoting to the moon. I like this too. You like how they add the Kardashian candidate? How many idiots have supported Joe Biden? How many idiots have supported Donald Trump? We don't even want to get into that. You guys can watch my videos. Please go watch my videos. But Kim Kardashian or whatever Kardashian, like, do you feel like that's important that you point out that she or one of them supports this person? Yeah, like I said, lots of fucking people that people don't think are intelligent support lots of candidates. It's inevitable. Let's try.
Somebody has a younger body doesn't mean you don't have old ideas.
No, we can do it.
John Kennedy did not say, I have a plan to get a man to the moon, and so we're going to do it, and I think we can all work together, and maybe we can get a man on the moon. John Kennedy said, by the end of this decade, we are going to put a man on the moon. Because John Kennedy was back in the day when politics included the people, and included imagination, and included great dreams, and included great plans. And I have had a career not making the political plans, but I have had a career harnessing the inspiration and the motivation and the excitement of people, masses of people, when we know that when we say we are going to turn from a dirty economy to a clean economy, we're going to have a Green New Deal. We're going to create millions of jobs. We're going to do this within the next 12 years because I'm not interested in just winning the next election. We are interested in our grandchildren.
All right, we're going to sneak in a break in a minute.
What about that upsets people? Let's see. To pass the torch to the generation, Eric Swalwell's call for Biden to pass the torch to the generation that's going to feel the effects of climate change was a perfect opportunity to start talking about the space race. Once again, you're taking this completely out of context. She's using it as an analogy. She actually finished incredibly well. As a person that spends a lot of their time motivating people in my job, I can tell you that it is undervalued the amount of progress you can get out of people by being a motivational, inspirational, and positive figure. Okay? And this is something Democrats at times lack. Is they're too cold. They're too cold. They want to just stand up there and just say what they're going to do and just, that Ross Perot lost and he was a Republican, but he lost his presidential chance at that because of how cold he was. People need inspiration. They do. And unfortunately, one of the things that Donald Trump provided to his base that was just salivating for inspiration on their side, because look at who they had running for them. They got it. And they jumped at it. And in fact, many independents rolled over to that side to vote for Donald Trump because someone was actually doing something that seemed motivated, seemed inspirational, seemed like it was going to change something. So when we talk about Donald J. Trump becoming the president of the United States and we blame it all on one side, you can't do that. You can't. You have to analyze your own behaviors. You have to decide, what did we do wrong? That's all she's asking you to do. That's all she's saying is, maybe, just maybe, 80 or 84-year-old white dudes that may potentially be not as cognitively capable as a 40, 45, 50-year-old person could be, aren't the best people to be making the decisions when it comes to our young people and the world that we're leaving them. This isn't our world anymore. I'm 43 years old. This is my children's world now. It's not mine anymore. Pick my words more carefully. What did I say? What did I say? I mess things up all the time. Here we go again. When Chuck Todd asked the candidates what policy goals they'd tackle during their first year in office, Williamson offered a response that no one saw coming. My first call is to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who said that her goal is to make New Zealand the place where it's the best place in the world for a child to grow up. And I would tell her, girlfriend, you are so wrong, because the United States of America is going to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up. Because I'm thinking so hard? I am trying to choose my words correctly. Come on, you know me. What I would say to that is, once again, you're looking down on somebody for attempting to reach people in a way that they can understand. She's trying to say that she's going to look at this, the country of New Zealand, who boasted about, creating this amazing place. I want to move to New Zealand. I love America, but I would move to New Zealand. How New Zealand said they're going to create this best place. And she's saying, no, you're not. I'm going to do better than you could ever hope to do for our young people. That's inspirational. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want your politicians to talk like. Shit, if they would follow through on that, we might not be in the position that we're in. If Donald Trump wasn't so full of shit and he actually followed through on stuff, if there was a version of him on the left, which there was for a minute, that just spoke like honestly, and I do think he's honest. I think he's a very dishonest person, but I think he actually says what he thinks. If they said what they thought and did what they thought and followed through, this would be a better country for everybody, and specifically for our youth. Let's watch the clip.
First call is to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who said that her goal is to make New Zealand the place where it's the best place in the world for a child to grow up. I'll tell her girlfriend you were so on, because the United States of America is going to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up.
Ms. Williamson, we are going to have... You guys were...
that end right there, that so this is what I'm saying. This is one of the reasons, and I'm not making excuses for myself. One of the reasons that I thought that she was somebody different was because our media has portrayed her as being kooky, has portrayed her as being insane, because she says things like we should love each other, or that love is the way. Like, imagine a politician that actually gave a shit, that actually cared for people. That's crazy, right? Let's see. Here's a couple things, and I actually want to get to the Paula White stuff because I don't want to keep you guys around forever. I know your dad would say she's too socialist, 100%. But as I said before, our government is a sprinkling of many different ideologies. It's not a democracy. It has many different parts of it that have been taken from many different things, including socialism, like Social Security, like our fire department, like our police department. There's plenty of things about our society that actually are socialist that people are stupid because they like it. So here's the thing about that. And we're about to go in an ad, so I'm going to talk to you about 40 seconds, and then we're going to go for an ad. You can't have a society that doesn't have some socialist stuff. And it's still debatable that socialism is as bad as everybody thinks it is. I don't know that she's socialist. I don't know. I can't agree with that. I think that she gives a shit about people. And I think that that's a good thing. That's what I would say. We have 10 seconds and you guys are going into ads. I'm sorry about that. If you have premium, you don't have to, so you can keep listening to me. And so I'm going to just go over to Paula White's Wikipedia. And when you guys come back, we're going to talk about Paula White. That's the good stuff. All right. Let's see. Paula White. Who is Paula White? I'm talking mostly to myself. She was born on 4/20, first of all. Her last name is Fear. Fear. That's suspect, okay? White became chair of the Evangelical Advisory Board in Donald Trump's administration. And this is the woman I thought that I misidentified. She delivered the invocation at his inauguration. She is the first female clergy member to deliver the invocation. In the new November 2019, Trump appointed her special advisor to the Faith and Opportunity Initiative at the Office of Public Liaison. She was a senior pastor of New Destiny Christian Center. Let's see. Yeah, reparations would be socialism. Yeah, I don't have any, like I said, I would say, once again, a much longer topic than can be debated right here, right now. I would question certain parts of socialism, and I would also encourage certain parts of socialism, as I think that any intelligent person can agree that almost any idea has good things and bad things about it, and no idea is 100% perfect in totality. So people that are like, that's socialist or that's communist, it's like, are you going to literally just block out any good idea because it's from something that you heard somebody tell you was bad? I once talked to an employee, and she said, you wear the same clothes every day. And I said, yeah, pretty much. I have different clothes, but they're all work clothes. And she goes, well, why do you wear the same clothes? And I go, because I just don't want to think about it. And I said, I actually once heard a quote from Mark Zuckerberg, who she immediately frowned at me. Immediately. I knew I was in dark territory. I said, and Mark Zuckerberg said, when asked in an interview, why do you always wear just a t-shirt and khakis? And he said, because when I wake up in the morning, I have more important things to think about than what I'm going to wear. And I thought, yes, that's it right there. That's why I wear the clothes I wear to work. Because when I get up to go to work, I have much more important things on my mind than whether or not people are going to like the shirt I wear or the pants I wear, or if they're going to notice that I wear the same clothes all the time. It's just not that important to me. And she was very upset. And she allowed me to finish my story. And then she said, I can't believe you like Mark Zuckerberg. And I said, well, how are you inferring that I like Mark Zuckerberg? She goes, well, you took a quote from him, so that means that. I go, that doesn't mean that at all. It means that I heard somebody say something, and I agreed with it. It doesn't at all. In fact, I think that Mark Zuckerberg's kind of an a-hole for buying up all that property in Hawaii that, was, kind of stolen out from under, stolen being a word, a figurative word, stolen from out from under, stolen from out from under indigenous people. But at the same time, whether or not I agree with his politics or what he does in his personal life, what he said made sense. And I will not disregard something that makes sense because I don't like the source it came from. So if something comes from socialism or if it comes from communism and you don't like it, but it makes sense, it still makes sense. You need new shirts for the Ginger Army merch store? I will. I'll work on it. I have a real job too, okay? Let's get into it. Most of you know who she is. I've looked through it. She's been married 3 times and divorced 3 times, as all good religious figures have been. She has apparently, or is apparently, married to the dude from Journey. I didn't know that. She's crazy. Jonathan Cain is who is from Journey, and apparently Journey actually was like, dude, stop. Stop getting in our bank account and try and take money out of our joint account. So, I don't know. Let's see. Bankruptcy, of course, a portion of the Journey. She was in the Trump administration, and she did lead prayer. Donald Trump is just like sitting there going, come on, please let this be over. You know, one of the particular reasons that he did was she actually scored really well with the African-American community. Donald Trump knew he did not score well with the African-American community. So as any good businessman does, he goes out of his way to find the person that can sell his product the best. And unfortunately, this woman was that woman. Her theology is prosperity theology, which is one of the religious ideals that I have the biggest problem with. And that is the idea that if God loves you, God will make you rich. What kind of backward-ass God just gives money to 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 people and just says, all you other people, you know, you're my children too, but you can go fuck yourself. I only got money for Joel Osteen. Or, you know, how about all these people that end up being, you know, hugely successful, that end up becoming, like, I can't say the words because YouTube will get me in trouble, but let's just say criminals that did things to other human beings that they shouldn't do, specifically younger ones. What kind of backwards-ass ideology is it that those people who are some of the worst human beings are the most blessed by God? Insanity. Absolutely insane. Let's get on to it. Let's get on to the good stuff. Let's watch some videos from Paula White, and let's finish on my favorite, the fun, the laughs, the humor. Their philosophy makes me throw up. Exactly, Goth. Exactly. It's the most disgusting philosophy that a person that's claiming to be religious, claiming to care about other people could ever have, in my opinion. Although I guess there's someone out there is like, hold my beer, right? So I don't want to throw out a challenge to anybody. So this is the video that was released from his praying for his re-election. This was one of the most surreal videos of all time. So strange.
Strike and 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 strike until
Not
you
edited.
have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says
got a
it
good
is
cadence.
done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory,
dude in the
victory,
back.
victory. For angels are being
I love the dude
released
in
right
the
now.
back.
Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata
Oh, yeah, she goes into
raka
tongues.
baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike
Make that shit up.
yata. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus, from South America, they're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound.
Okay, so first of all, I feel like I may have been indoctrinated just a little bit there. For some reason, I want to send this woman a check. I'm willing to give $100 to $200 of my hard-earned money to this woman all of a sudden. For anybody that has ever looked into the cadence of motivational speakers, looked into the cadence of preachers, it's actually a verifiable fact that there's been studies done that show that cadence matters, and what she's doing is cadence. And people that fall into that and like really just like kind of it helps them. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel strong. It makes them feel like God is with them. It doesn't me, but it does for them. And to be honest, that is the worst kind of mind control I've ever encountered is attempting to get a bunch of people that are just looking for help, just looking to belong, and to intentionally learn how to speak in a way to make them give you their money. Because that's what she does. So then we're going to do the now this. So this is just a little bit of a video that goes into who Paula White was. Once again, I want to apologize to Miss Marianne Williamson. I was wrong. I was so wrong.
Wherever I go, God rules.
Cadence.
When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy.
Look at her.
To say no to President Trump would be saying no to God.
Oh my God.
We are in a spiritual war right now. Let every demonic network that has aligned itself against the purpose, against the call.
Dude, tell me this isn't some Hitler shit. Like, I know it's like overdone, the whole like comparing people to Hitler, but I think she would have had a job, dude. I think he would have been like she would be his opening act.
Of President Trump, let it be broken, let it be torn down in the name of Jesus.
You want me to tell you what my thoughts are?
No. No. Please keep that shit to yourself.
The thoughts of the King of Kings, the thoughts of the Lord of Lords. I'm downloading heaven.
Oh, welcome to 2023 where heaven gets downloaded. Dude, the tongue sting is my favorite. I'm going to tell you guys another. This one, I'm going to shorten this story a little bit, but we used to go to churches when we were young to pick up on the girls because that's where all the hot girls were. And I lived in a ghetto, so there's a bunch of churches. There's always lots of churches in the ghetto. And we went to this, I want to say Presbyterian. I think that's the ones that speak in tongues. I can't remember. But we went because my friend told me that it's going to be crazy, okay? And we get there, and all of these people start speaking in tongues. And they're all just running around the room. Their hands are in their air, and they're screaming, and they're yelling, and they're speaking in tongues. And the preacher is jumping back and forth. He's having a great time. Well, this is before wireless mics, and he had a big wire that was hanging out behind him. And as he jumps to the left, he jumps to the right. It hooks onto his foot. He falls. There's a bench behind him. Smacks his head on the bench. Me and my buddy, who are the only people that pretty much aren't running around, we're just laughing so hard. See this dude go down. We're looking around like, oh my God, somebody, holy shit, somebody help this dude. Nobody. Everybody's still running around. Super crazy. It's hot. We're sweating. People are just out of control. The dude gets up, kind of comes to, starts yelling at everybody. And he's like, listen. And everybody kind of calms down finally. And he's like, I just hit my head on the bench. And I just went to heaven, and I spoke to God, and he said, everybody in this room is going to heaven. And everybody just freaked out, and they all started doing it again. And that's when I knew he was full of shit, because me and my buddy, who at the time had blue hair and was wearing a spiked collar, knew that the only reason that we were in that church were to hit on young women. And that, folks, is why I know this is full of shit. Oh, I like this music.
I kind of know I'm a little bit cute, all right?
I am Paula, who is pretty. Well, maybe I'm not going to be pretty when I'm 90 years old.
Here's this former messed up Mississippi girl who lived in a trailer that they called trailer trash.
What is up with her lip?
Daddy committed suicide, got pregnant out of wedlock,
Somebody help me out there. Does she have a deformity or something? I don't want to make fun of somebody who got a deformity. I'm sorry.
married, been divorced, not just once, twice.
People go, well, how'd you become the spiritual advisor of the president? We'll get to that later. It's all in there. Michael Jackson, Kid Rock, the president, it's all in there, all right?
Whoa! Michael Jackson, Kid Rock, and the president. That sounds like a really bad video to me. Bet you can find it on a certain site, though.
Right? Thank you, Paula. What a great job you do. The evangelicals. I hear we're more popular than ever with the evangelicals. You're the only one, and she'll tell the truth. She'll only tell the truth.
Dude, he just outs himself. Like I said, he speaks the shit in his head.
Southern California is looking at there's already
Jesus
law
herpes.
passed through the governor that says the Bible is a book of hate speech and to ban the sale of it.
Snapchat was created as the largest human trafficking because the greatest people on there were human traffickers because the FBI and because intelligence could not do it because it's live and it's real time and they...
Dude, the way these people talk, it just drives me nuts. It's the same thing you hear on the Jordan Klepper videos when people are trying to like piece together all the reasons they think that like the FBI is corrupt. It's like their stream of thought is just insane.
They can track your kid in less than a second and take them.
There's a Department of Treasury in
Renee, get the kids off of Snapchat.
heaven that God is watching over everything you do, and you are storing up eternal treasure that will go so far beyond, I think, that we can even begin to
it's
imagine.
like a microphone.
You need to
It's a
send in
microphone.
$3,500. You need to send in $35,000.
That's a really bad idea to have a flesh-colored microphone. Somebody should have definitely told her that. You need to send $35,000.
You need to send in that $100,000 check. If you do not write that P.O. box and you do not call that toll-free number and you do not become a ministry of sustainer, you will never see sustainment in your life and your dream will die. Your call will die.
Dude, who knew that heaven was a Kickstarter project? Fuck. I hope it's not too late. I mean, I'll put like $250. I'll put about $350 on that. Wow. Of course she was.
Here.
She's like, I am being investigated and I need a good lawyer. Can I join your cabinet?
He is the nominee. That has to be providence. That has to be the hand of God, in my opinion.
And any tongue that rises against him will be condemned according to the word of God.
It is God that raises up a king. It is God that sets one down. And so when you fight against the plan of God, you're fighting against
She is so crazy.
the hand of God. If we get two more, we will be able to overturn demonic laws and decrees that has held this nation in captivity.
Wow.
I can tell you that our president is doing absolutely phenomenal, that he is in great health every way.
Huge history buff. It's like he understands that which has been is that which will be.
Dude, he is not a history buff. I would watch a YouTube channel where Donald Trump talked about history. Yeah, misuse of donations, you don't say? Yeah, right? You don't say.
Thank you for your courageous and bold stand for religious liberty and for your timeless service to all Americans. We appreciate the price that you have paid. To walk in the high calling, history will record the greatness that you have brought.
Like, Donald looks like he's reading the shit that she wrote, but we all know, first of all, Donald can't read. Okay. Second, he's just like looking at it like, there better not be a bad word in there about me. I'll fire you right now.
For generations.
And so you sit back and go, whoa, yeah, but she crazy. She up there, suppose she up there in the White House praying. You better believe I'm praying.
Whoa! She went ghetto. She just had the spirit of Cardi B in her.
You better believe I'm up there saying in the name of Jesus. You better believe that I'm...
Oh, shit, dog.
walking around those parameters.
Dude, she's about to start blooding and cussing here in a minute.
Saying, I lift this up and I dedicate every ounce of this place as holy ground. I release angels right now in the Holy Spirit and walls of fire. I burn up every demonic altar in the name of Jesus and I call it to crumble. Hey!
Oh man. Okay. I'm not sure if my allergies are getting to me or if I'm about to start crying. That was amazing. and we're gonna finish it. We're gonna finish it with the best. We're gonna finish it with the funniest. We watched a Remix Bros video the other day. These guys are good. I like this. And to be honest, she gave them the perfect material to work with. What was that, Paula White? DJ, you're late. We're about to finish up, buddy. You're going to have to go back to the start. All right, at least the start of the Paula White stuff. The rest of it is just me talking about Marianne Williamson and why I'm an idiot for saying that she's cuckoo. And we all must admit when we mess something up. And I messed something up, Marianne. DJ, I thought Marianne was Paula White. I made a mistake, and I will forever live in embarrassment for making that mistake. I'm sorry, Marianne. All right, we're going to watch it, guys. Let's get ready. Prepare yourself, because this is amazing.
Strike and strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain.
Woo!
I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
Dude, that shit right there. That is the best. And that actually sounds like a lot of rappers nowadays. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be a duet.
They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
Dude, that was actually pretty musical.
They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says
That's what that church looked like that me and my buddy were at.
it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of
Dude, there it is. That's it. Like, that's like, okay, so look, there's the little microphone cords and stuff back there. That's pretty much what he tripped on. Shouldn't have put a bench back there. It's a bad idea. Fucking OSHA, not approved.
victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
Woo! Wow. We need some Ric Flair up in this. That's the only way they could have made that better, is if they would have had Ric Flair like as a guest star. All right, guys. Well, I know who Marianne Williamson is now. You guys probably knew more about her than I did. I appreciate you being here with me. I've always said a lot of time I'm just sitting here looking at videos by myself, and I just want to turn on the camera and just say hi to you guys while I do it. So I appreciate you all, as always. Uncle Fatty, my guy, what's up, buddy? Dude, we played some music and stuff. You're gonna have to go back and check out the video. You guys are coming in late. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much. My time in prison has made me love you all so much more. I'm hoping to not go back, so I'm trying to avoid saying the words that get me in trouble. But a lot of this stuff that you see in these videos has to be talked about. It's absolutely insane, some of the things that people believe in. It's appropriate, in my opinion, to talk about them. So we're going to continue to talk, and we're going to try to stay within the guidelines that were given to us to keep us off parole. I'm sorry, Marianne Williamson. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys. Friday, I don't know how many of you guys play games. I don't know how many of you guys even give a shit about it, but I'm going to probably make Fridays probably going to be jumping on and probably broadcasting, playing some games. That's what I like to do on my Friday nights. It's what keeps me in touch with the kids. And if you guys wanna hop in and say hi, I believe I can do it on YouTube. I'm old. I don't know how technology works completely, but if I can do it on YouTube, I'll be on YouTube. If not, I will link my Twitch channel. And if you guys want to join me on there, say hi, have a beer, watch me suck at playing some game or another, and tell me how bad I am, feel free to join me, guys. All right, everybody. Love you to death. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming back. If you're on the stream, please like it. Helps me out. If you want to toss $3 my way, like an evangelical protest preacher, become a member. Angry Gingers, Ginger Snaps for life. I do sell shirts on Bonfire. All those links are on there. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to have fun with you guys. But if you guys want to toss $2 my way, I appreciate it. All right, guys. I love you. Stay off my lawn.